I told you not to park that thing there. You are blocking the access again. No, it's my spot, Brenda. Get over it. The first time I saw the bright red no-wheel zone sign on my front lawn, I actually laughed, until I saw the $500 fine taped right under it. I live in a small, quiet neighborhood with an evil twist. An HOA run by one lady we all called Brenda behind her back. She was the kind of person who measured grass with a ruler and took pictures if your trash can sat out for more than 4 minutes. After my accident, I started using a wheelchair. I saved 4 months to add a simple ramp to my front steps so I could get into my own house without help. It wasn't fancy, just safe. The day the ramp was finished, my mom cried. I cried. For the first time in a long time, I felt like I had my own life back. 2 days later, Brenda showed up with her little clipboard and pinched lips. She didn't even say hello. "We have a problem," she said, staring at the ramp like it was a bomb. "This structure is not approved by the HOA. I stared at her. "It's a wheelchair ramp. So literally can't get into my house without it." She smiled. It was the kind of smile villains practice in the mirror. "I understand, but rules are rules." That night, I got an email from the HOA. Attached was a new policy update titled Section 14, No Wheel Zone. It said no visible wheel devices or structures were allowed in the front of homes. No bikes on porches, no scooters, no ramps. Ramps. Like they slipped that word in there and thought I wouldn't notice. At the bottom, it said the rule had passed last month. It had Brenda's digital signature and something that looked like board approval. I knew that was a lie. I had the old rulebook printed out in a binder from 3 months ago when I moved in. I checked. No Section 14. No wheel zone. Nothing. I went to the next HOA meeting in the clubhouse. I rolled in, ramp-free. Because, yeah, she had already threatened daily fines if I didn't remove it, pending review. My neighbor Richard held the door for me. He whispered, "This is messed up, man, but I can't say anything. She'll come for my fence next." Inside, the board sat at a long table like they were Congress or something. Brenda sat in the center, chin up, though I spoke calm at first. "This new rule? It's fake. It wasn't in the last handbook. You made it to target my ramp." Brenda's voice went cold. "You are out of line." The board approved it. I looked left and right at the other board members. No one met my eyes. One guy actually looked scared. "I want to vote on it," I said. Brenda banged a little gavel like she was a judge. Motion denied. "This meeting is over." That was my failed appeal. Nobody stood up for me. Not one person. I left that room shaking, angry, and embarrassed, trying not to cry in front of them. On the way home, I rolled past my own steps. No ramp, just cold concrete. My arms were tired, my chest ached, and I had to call my brother to help lift me inside. That was the moment the anger turned into something sharper. If Brenda wanted to play fake judge and fake lawyer, fine. I'd bring her to a real one. First, I pulled out my old HOA handbook and took pictures of every page. Then I printed the new no-wheel zone rule she emailed. Side by side, it looked so obvious. Different fonts, different formatting, and the board approval line. It only had her name. No dates, no meeting notes, no signatures from anyone else. Next, I started talking to neighbors one by one. Not in meetings, but in driveways and over fences. Once they were away from Brenda, the truth came out. She never mentioned any vote, one said. "We didn't approve that. He just told us it was done." Another neighbor told me. "My kid's bike got a warning too." This is all about control. Then I called a lawyer who dealt with disability rights in HOAs. When I told him about the fake no-wheel zone rule, he actually laughed. "If this is how it looks," he said, "your HOA is in big trouble. And Brenda, even bigger." We filed a complaint, not just with the HOA, but with the city and the court. We said the HOA was violating disability laws by forcing me to remove a needed ramp. We also added a little cherry on top: suspected document forgery. The day the city inspector came was beautiful. I sat on my porch step, waiting, arms burning from pulling myself up. Brenda marched out of her house like she was leading a parade. "What is this?" she hissed, looking at the inspector's badge. "We got a complaint," the inspector said, "about an accessibility ramp being removed." Neighbors peeked out from windows. Phones came out. I saw at least 3 people recording. Richard leaned on his car, watching like it was a front-row seat at a drama show. Brenda waved her clipboard. "This is a private HOA issue. We have rules here." She shoved the no-wheel zone paper at him. The inspector read it, frowning. "You have the original bylaws." Brenda hesitated. "These are the updated ones." "Original," he repeated. From when the neighborhood was built, she didn't have them, of course, but I did. I rolled forward, held up my binder. "You mean these?" The inspector took my copy. He flipped to the section numbers. "There is no section 14, he said flatly. "And certainly no no-wheel zone." Someone in the crowd snorted. Another neighbor whispered loudly, "She really tried it, huh?" Phones were all pointed at Brenda now. The inspector looked at her. "Ma'am, did you create a fake section and present it as HOA law?" Brenda's face turned bright red. I was just clarifying the rules. By adding some," he said, "without process, without a vote." That was only the warm-up. A few weeks later, we ended up in an actual courtroom. I sat next to my lawyer, hands sweating. Brenda sat on the other side at the HOA table, looking like she'd swallowed a lemon. The judge was a calm, older man with sharp eyes, and he did not look amused. We laid everything out: pictures of my ramp, emails from Brenda, screenshots of the fake rule, witness letters from neighbors saying there was never a vote, the inspector's report saying the rule did not exist in the original bylaws. The judge turned to Brenda. "Did you author this so-called Section 14? She tried to dance around it. "I was only doing what's best for the community. Wheels in the front make the place look cluttered." The judge stared at her a long time. "You do understand," he said slowly, "that making up rules to target a disabled person's access to their own home is not only wrong, but illegal." Brenda opened her mouth. Nothing came out. Then the judge did something I will never forget. He picked up the fake no-wheel zone rule, looked at it, and ripped it clean in half. The sound echoed in the courtroom like a slap. "Section 14 is void," he said. "The HOA will immediately allow the ramp to be rebuilt. You will cover all costs, legal fees, and a fine for violating disability access laws. And as for the board," he looked over his glasses, "I strongly suggest you find new leadership." Somebody in the back actually clapped before the bailiff told them to stop. News of the ruling spread through the neighborhood like wildfire. Someone posted the story online with clips from the inspector visit and sketches from the court day. The comments were brutal. People called her No-Wheel Brenda, Ramp Ripper, and my personal favorite, the Queen of Nothing. Within a month, Brenda resigned from the HOA for personal reasons. No one was sad. The board voted in new people, including my neighbor Richard, who actually has a heart. My ramp was rebuilt, stronger and nicer than before, fully paid for by the HOA. The inspector came back to check it and gave me a thumbs up. Neighbors came by with cookies, with "Sorry we didn't speak up sooner," with offers to help. Now, when I roll up that ramp, I don't feel small or ashamed. I feel like I won. And every time I see a kid's bike or scooter on a front porch, I smile. Wheels are everywhere now. Nobody says a thing. As for Brenda, she still lives here, but she parks in the back and avoids everyone. Sometimes I catch her looking at my ramp. I give her a sweet, polite smile, the kind that says, "You tried to take this from me, and you lost." Please subscribe to Caring Conflict for more stories like this. Do you think she got what she deserves? Comment below.